Hello, Houston. It's your boy Roger D with Texas T, where I bring on entrepreneurs, hustlers, serial killers, and prodigies of the great state of Texas, and you guys get to listen to their success stories. Today's guest was able to start an entire film production without his wife knowing, and then actually ended up winning Best Director for a short film at the Houston Horror Film Festival. JP DeStefano.
How you doing?
And he didn't get in trouble.
At least for the first few months.
At least for the first She just kind of kept it in so you guys could get it done.
Exactly.
All right, that's awesome.
Exactly.
So first and foremost, for anyone that's listening that is looking to get into the film industry, if you were to give them some early onset advice, what would that be?
Oh, man. I would just say just prepare for a wild ride and have the stamina to understand that it's going to be a long ride.
Yeah.
It's going to be a long ride, but you just keep grinding and everything will work itself out in the end. And I know that sounds kind of vague and kind of, everyone's like, oh, yeah, that's what everybody always says. But it's true. Yeah. It's true. Make sure you surround yourself with like-minded people and good things can happen,
Yeah. Surround yourself with individuals that bring you up. Pick you up and bring you to the next level.
That's right. And have similar vision as you.
Got you. Yeah, because if you have people bringing you down, it's just not going to work out.
Definitely. Not.
That's some good advice there. Long haul. I think that's something you can say with almost every career that's, I wouldn't say saturated, but really hard to penetrate.
Yeah.
It's you're going to have to be consistent and continuously hustle. So
that's right. And my dad actually told me that. We were coming back from after shooting a commercial in Austin. On the car ride back, he told me, he's like, son, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. And I think that was the first time I ever heard that in my life. And I was like, that is true. Yeah. Because I think early on in my career, and it's still early on, as I still see it, that, you want to go full octane, full force up front, and you're like, I got to make a name for myself right now. And it's like, just understand that if you trust the process, good things will come.
Oh, yeah, 100%. And Michael Myers really understood that it's not a sprint.
That's right. He was as consistent as can be.
Yeah, he was just steady as he goes.
That's right.
Gets to his goal.
Never ran once, never had to run. He gets there.
That's awesome. And you're saying you're shooting a commercial. I'm assuming that's when you were acting at the time, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were shooting. I was an extra in a Pepsi commercial.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I was shooting in Austin, and it was a long night. It was cold, and it was a Pepsi commercial, and that's pretty much all I remember. I was an extra in the stands. It was supposed to be. It was a football game we were at, and just cheering on whoever was on the field, which was nobody at the time.
Just blank cheering.
That's how they do it, man.
How do you do something like that? Not to get too much into acting, but I'm sure there's a lot of scenes where there isn't a prop that you can react to. Yeah. How do you get yourself into scene for that type of situation?
Theater of the mind, right?
Theater of the mind.
Yeah, you just got to act as if.
Okay.
Thinking, like, yeah, this is my prop, and I'm talking to somebody right over there, even though they're not there. You see it all the time in Hollywood, right? Even in the big Hollywood movies like the Avengers, they're all acting on green screens. There's nobody even there. Planet of the Apes, they just got somebody with like green dots on their face who's in a green jumpsuit. Yeah. It's supposed to be an ape, right?
Right.
So you have this willing suspension of disbelief that that is what it is, but I know it's not.
Yeah. That's the one fine line between you and someone who is yelling at a bag on the street.
Yeah. Exactly. That's right.
One fine line.
A bag on the street. That was beautiful, though, in American Beauty, though. Right?
Yeah, it's funny because I actually thought of that exact same thing. I'm glad you picked that up. I'm going to try to have some Easter eggs in here.
Movie nerds.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm definitely not a nerd, but I feel like anything I throw down, you're going to pick up because you're
I hope so.
Way at the next level.
I had a couple of cups of coffee, so I hope I'm up there.
There you go. And the Monster.
And the Monster.
Well. Yeah, just doubling down on that caffeine.
Yeah.
So where in your life did you decide that you really wanted to get into the film industry, and like how did that come about?
I knew I wanted to be involved in acting first in some capacity. I was growing up in New Jersey watching Rumble in the Bronx with Jackie Chan, watching Speed with Keanu Reeves, and those action films, and watching how Jackie Chan did his own stunts in Rumble in the Bronx. That was that's what did it for me. I saw that and I was like, I want to be an action actor.
Yeah.
And I didn't know how to go about getting into it from taking the first step. My mom was always like, oh, you need to take acting classes. I'm like, okay, great. Yeah. Well, how about you help me get to those classes? But she never really did. It was just kind of like she talked about it. Oh, you're the next Jim Carrey.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, but let's take the next step. I always wanted to take the next step, but I didn't know how.
Mm-hmm.
And then just as time developed, I went to school and then graduated from the University of Houston, and then I went to the energy industry. And then it really was my energy trading job that I'm currently working in that facilitated me to go and, try to take a chance at acting, because my job offers me 2 weeks off every month,
Right.
which is pretty unique. I kind of have I have the work schedule of a nurse, essentially. And so my coworkers were always telling me before I started there, they were like, yeah, you need to take on a hobby. And sure enough, that hobby was like, okay, I need to figure out what I wanted to do. I'm like, oh, acting was, always on the back of my mind. And I took a stab at it.
Right. And I'm sure you have other actor and actress, technically I could say actor as a generality, right?
Yeah.
But
sure.
friends who have not as much of a leniency, what would you say is there, if you could touch on that, because I'm sure not everyone listening that would want to get into the film industry has a trading job in the energy.
I make up that 0.1%.
Yeah, which is awesome. Yeah. But what advice would you have for someone who has to do it kind of on the weekends? What would they kind of change up to make it a little bit easier for themselves?
Well, if they want to just do it on the weekends, you could always take classes after your job.
Mm-hmm.
Like my class that I studied at was the Next Level Acting Studios with Deke Anderson, who was my first acting coach.
Mm-hmm.
And he offers classes during the week, and then I think he has one on the weekends as well. But he offers a night class, and I would go to my night class after I would get off shift. It'd be a long day, I'd be tired, but I did it, and tried to develop my craft that way.
Right.
But yeah, you can start off taking classes. Get some professional headshots done. If you don't have any acting experience, which starting off you're not going to, you can just put yourself on camera and read monologues and just self-tape yourself,
Yeah, I think now with what we have digitally, it's got to be so much different than even when you started.
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah. I mean, everyone's got a smartphone now. That's a camera, so you can just set that up on a tripod. You can get an affordable LED light, and that's why we're auditioning at home now.
Yeah.
And even before the pandemic started, that was becoming an industry norm. Where now it's just self-tape auditions. You don't really have to drive out to Austin as much, and now it's just do it from the comfort of your own home.
Which is funny that you mentioned that, because your wife, who did play a role in Halloween Night, was actually doing exactly that in the movie, right?
That's exactly right. That's art imitating life.
Yeah.
Or life imitating art. It depends on how you see it, right?
Something.
Something like that.
We're in the Matrix, so it doesn't matter.
Right. Yeah. So, that was interesting, that plot of the movie, where I wanted to talk about kind of what happens in our life, as far as where if she does have an audition that comes up, she will need me to help her out in real life, right? Mm. So that's why I put that into the movie, and as part of the as the circumstances that she found herself in. So.
Right. Yeah. Using what already pretty well in your own personal life to kind of bring more life and realness to a horror film.
Well, and I think actors can resonate with that too. As far as like, oh, I need a reader last minute. You know, and if you can't get a reader, then it's like, oh crap, how are you going to get someone else to read those sides? The script for the audition. It becomes a problem amongst actors, I see. So,
that's funny.
Yeah.
But eventually AI will come around. Problem solved.
It's funny. Some actors will actually record the lines of the person that they're talking to and just play that and edit it into the mix. But casting directors can actually pick up on that now.
Oh, really?
And they're like, nope, done.
Really? No.
Yeah, they catch up. They pick up on that.
Got you. Well, hopefully there's an easier way in the future.
I'm sure there will be.
Because being an actor in general or getting into the field in general is hard enough, right?
Sure. It really is.
So that's pretty awesome, man. Thanks for that advice on there. So you were an actor at first, of course. You had that schedule. So at what point were you like, you know what, I want to do more than just be in the film. I want to help to create every piece of the film.
Yeah, I think it's just having that sense of control where I wanted to be in control of my career.
Got you, control freak.
You're waiting on a call from an agent. You're waiting on a casting director to call your agent. And it's just like, and then you're just waiting on the opportunity to get that audition. So it's a lot of things that have to line up just for you to even get that opportunity. And I was tired of waiting. I was like, I need to make something for myself that I can establish my own brand and put it out there. And then, of course, I wanted to work with people that I trust, and then I could bring them on board, and I could surround myself with a whole network of people.
Right.
So that's kind of where that started from.
Got you. So it was a situation where you build it and they will come kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah.
Got you. Okay. I was gonna say if you don't have a pond to fish in, right? Just make a pond.
Yeah. just make the pond and then make sure all those ducks are in a row, right?
Right. Exactly. There you go. I like that. Before Halloween night, I'm sure you had other projects that you both worked on and led. I know I haven't really talked to you about those in depth. You want to go through those and what was like the first failure you had, and what did you really learn from that?
Well, man, the first failure I ever had was, it's funny because I don't view it really as a failure if you can learn from it and make it better, So I guess if I had to say is just know who you're going to go into business with up front. And I know it's tough to have that hindsight up front.
I think a lot of people feel that.
I think a lot of people feel that way. And, I'm not going to mention any names, but it's, I did start a previous company where, we did make a film, and it took a long time for us to get that out there. And I think it was just a matter of communication and being scared to hurt everyone's feelings, within the company, right? And I think with being open and honest, it's best for the product, to get it out there.
So there was something that was going on that people wouldn't have liked if you got it out too soon, or?
No, I think it was more of just like people in the company who were making this film were not engaged in the project anymore.
Okay.
Like I was talking about earlier with stamina, I just don't think some people have the stamina to want to finish a product because, by that time that you could probably get it out there, you've gotten better and you feel like you see ways that you could have made this movie better, but obviously you don't have the money and the time to go back and do like a reshoot or, wish it shoulda, woulda, coulda kind of deal, right? So those people become disengaged and they want to just move on to the next thing, where I have to kind of, try to lead people to water to say, hey, we spent all this time making this thing. Why would we not want to put it out there? And then I think it was just the
initial product was not really enjoyed by those who worked on it. And you're like, hey, but let's just do it. Let's finish it.
Right. And that was me. I wanted to finish it. And another problem that we had with that movie was just because we started shooting it before the script was even done. And I would not advise anyone to even do that, because things can change with the story, and you need to have a final script before you start shooting. I mean, like, how can you just, I mean, that's just like that's step one, right? Like, you have to have a script, and we just started shooting without finishing it. And I think that was not very wise to do.
Yeah.
So
hey, at least you confirmed a situation that you thought was obvious.
Yeah.
So now you have, that is obvious, but also now we know. Finish your script. That's awesome. Yeah, I can really empathize with the being anxious about putting something out, because I remember Gonzalo and I we had one that we realized one of the lapels was not working the whole time. So now all of a sudden we had this.
Is this on?
Yeah, it is 100% on.
Okay, cool.
We have way better technology now, way better. But one lapel was on, one lapel was not off. So the guest that was on there, it's just a weird situation. So what we had, the only way that we can have like consistent audio was using the audio from the iPhone.
Yeah.
And that was just not ideal. Plus, there was like a aquarium, which was like constant background noise right next to the iPhone. So I was like, man, this has to be the worst quality sound ever. And the funny thing was, I was like so anxious about putting it out. just because this is something new that I was doing, and usually I'm really good at about not caring what other people thought, but like I'm like, oh my god, I'm all of a sudden this like this podcast expert. What will they think?
Yeah.
You know, it's all stupid in my head, and then we put it out, and then like no one said anything about it.
That's the thing. It's those little things that you care so much about that most people don't even realize.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's funny because making Halloween Night, we had a lot of things that we had to fix in post-production.
Yeah.
Post-production after you shoot the movie, then you're just kind of working out the technical aspects in the computer, on the microphone and stuff like that. Any re-recordings, any ADR we had to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but it's sometimes if you just let things fly, I mean, a lot of people won't even notice sometimes.
Yeah.
You know?
I have a kind of a sound question, actually, now that you're saying that I'm sure I can Google and figure it out. Mm-hmm. But I was always blown away by how many sound difficulties I had with, or we had, or when I say we, mostly Gonzalo had initial sound problems to deal with. That like, okay, this is a mic that's standing in a controlled environment. Mm-hmm. You guys are filming a movie with all these moving parts. How come the sound sounds somehow insanely better than like a microphone in a room?
I have to give a lot of credit to our on-set boom operators.
Okay.
And our post-production audio guy.
Okay.
Dwayne Cathy. Because I mean, without having the combination of those two, it's going to be crap.
Right.
You know.
So they're controlling the environment.
Controlling the environment. You have to understand what your surroundings are. If you're indoors, don't have an AC unit running. You know, right. Is that rattling on the refrigerator going to be constant from one take to the next?
Yeah.
You know, sometimes it's best to just record room tone right there on the spot. So we'll be on set after we're done shooting every scene that we need, or every different setup we need for that specific scene. We'll have our audio guy say, hey guys, be quiet for just 30 to 45 seconds. I'm just going to record room tone. So then you can just loop that in there. So you're not relying on just the audio from the take, what you recorded right there in real time, versus the next take from the other person talking, where there can be inconsistent audios.
Got you.
So you can have the crispy noise, and then it can just go to like a completely clean audio, then back to that. So then you'll hear that. And then it's just like, you hear that, and then you know it's a low quality production.
Yeah,
you know? So,
wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's one of the things you got to kind of think about.
So you're making almost like the equivalent of stock audio for the background.
Essentially, yeah. And you can actually find that. You can pay for stock audio too.
Yeah.
You know, just search like, I just need a apartment room tone or something like that.
Yeah.
They can get so specific, you know.
Dude, that's so what's so wild, I remember just in movies in general, is I'd be watching a like blockbuster hit with what sounds like a super stock like a horror film, like a super stock yell or like disgruntled thing, and I'm I've like heard that way many times before.
Yeah, that's the Wilhelm yell. They call it the Wilhelm yell, where the guy's like falling out of a building. It's like, ah!
that's that's a thing.
I think they do it like 20 times in the movie MacGruber.
Oh my god!
And they know about it, and it's like self-aware too.
Okay.
The fact, so it's a spoof, right? So
yeah.
So they'll throw the Wilhelm scream in there, like when someone just like gets stabbed with a pencil. It's like, it's like completely over the top. But yeah, stock screams, the Wilhelm scream.
Yeah, I remember. I was just like, I've heard that so many times. So people, so that's not just like that's all we have. They're doing that on purpose.
Oh, yeah, those guys are. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, you know, you can search guy falling out of building scream, or you know, guy falling to the ground, whatever, you know, and they'll have a yell there.
It's crazy how I still hear some, or like metal banging or things that are like closed doors and stuff.
Yeah, or you can get even more creative and create it right there in the studio.
Right.
Like with Foley.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of the term Foley before?
I have not.
So like a Foley artist will have like a special room, like even in Hollywood, they'll have like a big warehouse or a room probably the size of your office.
They'll be making their own sounds.
They make their own sound and they record it.
Wow.
Like some guy will put on stilettos and just walk across the floor.
Oh, wow.
Or some guy will have like a little sandbox, will walk through sand, you know? Or if someone will have like a plastic bag, they'll rustle the bag to make it sound like someone's walking through leaves. So it's interesting how they can do all that.
So going back to horror, Have you ever played or heard of the game Dead Space?
I have not.
Oh my god!
I'm not so much of a gamer.
Oh man, if you should just like look up the cutscenes or at least like look it up just because it was very at least the first game was like way out there. Like they bought some sort of what's the term, not IPO, what's that term where it's like an old franchise and you buy it?
Franchise?
Shoot,
I don't know.
Anyways, it's like if you were to buy Batman, right? You have like the Batman series. They had like an old one that was something to do with space, and then he turned it into Hoarder. It was crazy. It was way different. But it was basically like, if you were to dumb it down, it was kind of like zombies in space.
Okay.
But not that lame.
Oh wow.
But not that, it was really cool. They had a really cool backstory. But the reason why I even brought it up was I remember when I was getting excited about the game, they said they had a situation like that where they were making brand new horror sounds. And there was one scene that was absolutely terrifying that nothing happens in. And the guy got a distorted sound from the subway train that was going by the area he generally walked by.
Yeah.
It was just like so crazy.
It's cool how people come up with these stories. Yeah. How they actually get their audio.
Yeah. And I would have never known it was a subway train.
You never know. And that's the art involved. Like, you're doing it from scratch, you know?
Yeah.
And I would prefer to do it that way because you have complete control of your film, whereas you're not just buying the stock thing.
Right.
You know, even stock footage too. Like, you can buy an aerial shot of Houston and slap that right in there. And, you know, obviously you got to give credit to whoever shot it, right? If you got it from.
You guys had some aerial shots, yeah?
Yeah.
How did you do those?
Those were stock footage.
Okay, those were stock footage.
I think all the aerial. For the exception of the ending, where we're pulling up and you see
I was just gonna say that one's really specific.
It's tough to find Google Myers dead. You know? An aerial shot pulling up, revealing blood on a balcony. Yeah. That's tough to find.
Wow, they really have a lot of stock footage.
They sure do.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty awesome. So, I know we went on a tangent on there. So you made all these. Projects before, involved in all these projects before Halloween Night. What was your proudest situation that you had, or proudest project or final product that you had?
Most proud,
or just accomplished. Proud is such a bad word.
I would say more of accomplishment. Like, I got to be play a hyper in a movie called VFW.
Okay.
And my buddy Max.
So what's a hyper?
A hyper is basically like a drugged up zombie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
That was fun. That was really cool.
What movie is that?
So VFW. It just came out on Blu-ray. They did a whole festival circuit before they dropped it on Amazon Prime. It's on all the major streaming services.
Okay.
VFW. And so my buddy Max, who's been a good close family friend for many years. He went to college with my brother. They were roommates, and everyone just kind of remained in contact over the years. And he went on to write the screenplay. Him and his buddy Matthew McArdle. They went on to write the screenplay for VFW, and so it turned into a big production. And Fangoria produced it. Which was owned by.
That's a great name, though.
Yeah, Fangoria. That was the old horror magazine.
Yeah,
you know, the big publication. You never got into
Never got into Fangoria.
I used to read it on the shelves in the magazine shops when I was little.
So. I was never huge into horror movies. I was huge into horror games, and then so obviously there's an offshoot and a crossover. Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know about Fangoria, but.
Yeah, so I'd read these magazines growing up, and Fangoria's got all like the details, like behind the scenes of like how they were doing the makeup for Freddy Krueger and stuff like that, and you name it, like The Exorcist and how they did all that. And I was always fascinated by that, always behind the scenes stuff, and I liked horror. I think that was actually probably my first introduction to horror, was seeing some of those magazines. And then fast forward, my buddy Max and Matt write the screenplay for VFW, and I just had lost 40 pounds working out with David. Yeah. And I sent my headshot to Max. I said, "Hey man, this is how I look now. It's my new headshot." And he goes, "Dude, I'm going to submit you for a hyper in VFW." He's like, "I'm going to reach out to the team." And sure enough, they casted me.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, they had a huge cast. Some OGs in that movie. You know.
Yeah.
They had. Yeah, I'm gonna name drop right now. So they had Stephen Lang, George Wendt, Martin Kove from Cobra Kai.
George Wendt.
George Wendt. He was on Cheers.
Okay.
He was like the big guy on Cheers. He was always hanging out at the bar. Fred Williamson, David Patrick Kelly.
Oh wow!
I mean, they had some William Sadler. William Sadler. You know, he plays Death in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
Mm-hmm.
And so you get to work with these guys, and you see how they operate, and you see how they go about their craft, and it was so inspiring, and you know, I learned just from being on set and watching them. And so I go in, I do my scene. It was a scene where I just kind of come through the VFW door. It's an old VFW rundown bar.
Yeah.
And I come in and I just like screaming at the top of my lungs, and then I get tussled with one of the younger actors in the scene. And then William Sadler comes in and breaks a pool cue over my shoulder. He left a huge welt on my shoulder. Oh. He didn't think it was going to do anything.
Yeah. And
he felt bad. And I was like, no. I'm like, hit me as hard as you can. I told him right before we shot the scene. I'm like, I want you to hit me as hard as you can. I felt like Tyler Durden in Fight Club. Yeah. You know. But so he came in there. He whacked me, and I went to the ground, and he just smashes my head in. And
damn.
And so it was just. It was very surreal. And it felt very. It was kind of like emotional to me too, because after the scene, we had Stephen Lang come in, who's the lead actor in the movie, and he was just like, "Great work, guys. That was beautiful." And like to me, that just meant so much.
That's awesome.
And it was like I felt like that was like the time where I really felt like I can roll with these guys at that level.
Yeah.
You know, and
well, you're definitely passionate about it.
Yeah.
And
then, very passionate.
Yeah. You're like, hit me as hard as you can.
Hit me as hard as you can. He's like, you sure? I'm like, yes. I'm like, take that mother damn thing and smack it over me.
That probably goes back to your thoughts about Jackie Chan, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Do what you need to do to make it look real and authentic.
I'm all about that.
Yeah.
You know, and for that, getting this one opportunity, and I'm not on camera for very long. It's you know, you blink, you might miss me in the movie. You know, but it's like
I'm going to be watching that scene for sure.
You own the moment. I was so. I think after I did like the second take, I probably almost fainted. I was like going in there, working myself up, and it was just like
the adrenaline.
It's intense.
Yeah,
it's intense.
I have two questions from that.
Mm-hmm.
First, as a question I've always wanted to know, and I've never been able to ask an actor, is it weird to see yourself get killed on camera?
To get killed on camera? No, not really. Yeah, I think the first few times you see yourself on camera, that's probably the most weird.
Okay.
And just hearing yourself talk, like, do I really sound like that?
Yeah.
Everyone always asks that question. But I think by the time you get killed on camera, you probably have done some work up into that point.
Okay, I got you. Sorry, yeah.
Because like you got to get 9 times out of 10, if you're getting killed, it's some kind of maybe stunt work or something like that. Right. So you have to have.
Well, that's what I was saying when you said he bashed your proverbial head in.
Right.
Yeah. So I was like, I always wondered that because I was like, man, that's got to be weird because you're seeing if it's done very well.
Yeah.
It's gonna look pretty real.
it was as real as it can get. They had the Fangoria team. They had I was at Russell Effects was the special effects team that did all of the practical effects, and that was the deal. I think since Fangoria was producing it, I believe they had a requirement where all the effects had to be practical.
Yeah.
You know, to serve the integrity of what they're about, right? And not relying on CGI, which is another thing I appreciate about that film, which is really cool because they. I go to the ground and William Sadler starts smashing my head in with his boot. Yeah. And they cut to a close up, and of course it's not me, right? It's just it looks like mac and cheese and like ground beef,
Tasty.
Yeah. You guys hungry?
Yeah. Give me a bowl.
Yeah.
So gross. Second question I had coming from that, because you said you're so ecstatic to be working with these legends, and you're able to learn from them. What were after talking to them, what were some of the biggest takeaways that you're like, wow, I didn't even think of that, or that's something that I'm definitely going to apply in the future?
Well, I didn't really get to talk to them all that much. I respect them as far as after we shoot a scene, I don't go up to them and try to nag them or anything like that.
Right, of course.
I think the biggest takeaway was that just when you're on a set like that of that caliber and that kind of budget and with those kind of names associated with it, you think, there's going to be a huge ego problem and stuff like that, but it didn't seem to be the case. Those guys, they're there to work, and I think when you've established yourself and you're working as long as those guys are, they have to keep their heads level. They got to be somewhat of a joy to work with, right? Because they're not going to be in the industry that long. If you're pretentious or you're a jerk and you have a huge ego, no one's going to want to work with you. And you see a lot of people like that later in their career, and I think that's a big red flag for a taste of things to come. So I would say that was the biggest takeaway, that they treated me.
Stay humble.
They're humble, and they treated me like I was one of their own. And
that's awesome.
Amazing, absolutely amazing.
That's really cool.
Yeah,
it's really good to hear. Because you're right. We definitely hear about some real shitheads.
Unfortunately, they're out there.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you get a certain point where if you have, it's the thing, you can only be that way if you have an enormous amount of skill.
Right.
And even then, you're already handicapping yourself from potential jobs that you probably could have got if you acted a little bit differently.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Which is another thing, like going into I don't want to get political or anything like that. I'm not about that at all.
Yeah.
But you see people on social media putting themselves out there, being so gung-ho about what they believe in politically, that they're going to sabotage their careers doing that.
Right.
And if being an actor or being in the film industry is your goal in life, then why would you try to sabotage it in that regard? I don't understand that mentality.
Right.
It's like you're so passionate about something that's just hot in the news, right? And probably something that'll be forgotten about within a couple of years anyways. But guess what?
Next week.
But guess what? I remember everything, and I see what people are saying out there. Especially within our circle here in Houston, I take note. And those are the people that I'm not going to work with if they're willing to put their names out there, as far as that could jeopardize not only their names but the project they are associated with. So that's why I'm very, very careful with who I bring on board.
Right.
With
and also what you put out there as
exactly.
well.
Exactly.
I feel like that's a horror movie in and of itself. JP remembered.
JP remembered.
JP never forgets.
Steel trap JP.
Steel trap
Coming
JP.
soon.
You think he didn't see, but he saw. He saw well.
I need a throat lozenger.
I'm on my 17th take, so this is why it sounds like this.
Exactly.
So stupid. Well, that's awesome, man. That's awesome to hear. So that's really cool. That's really cool, man. And I'm looking. So when did you say it's coming on VFW?
VFW is already out right now.
Okay.
I think it's on all platforms, all streaming devices, and you can get. I think they have a Blu-ray, and I think they have a 4K version. I might be wrong. I think there's a 4K.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So, you said streaming, though.
Yeah, streaming. You just get on Amazon Prime, VFW.
Okay. Yeah. Got you. Gonna look that up.
Just look at the front cover of it, and it's like that's all you need to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like they say, don't judge a book by its cover. This is amazing.
Okay,
look at this cover and judge it.
All right, I will judge this cover. I will judge this cover and then watch it. It's so funny because I remember when I was telling you I was going to watch Halloween Night, I literally have to, most of the time, parse out.
You haven't watched it yet, have you?
No, I have. Yeah. I literally had to parse out time to watch it.
Yeah.
I was working and then I was like, okay, I'm going to go home. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to put it on. Because it is so funny. There's so much out there now. That it's overwhelming for me. I don't know how people get bored because there's so much. But also, if I ever start to watch something, I'll watch some of it. I'm not afraid to stop midway through because I'm like, this is garbage, or this is not worth my time. But there's so much. It's got to be a bit overwhelming because you're I'm competing with so much all the time.
Yeah.
How do you? Well, not to sidetrack, but how do you stay focused when you know that there's just intense competition?
Yeah, there's a lot of competition out there, and there's a lot of fan films in general. And so
definitely that one.
Yeah, everybody and their mother's shooting a fan film, and they're becoming even better quality productions too. People are taking them seriously.
It's funny, as soon as this ended on YouTube, it went straight to another Halloween fan film.
Did it really?
Yeah.
Do you remember which one it was?
I don't remember which one it was.
That's fine.
I didn't watch it, but
we won't give them credit, will we?
no. It was trash.
It was
I
awful.
saw 3 seconds and I was like, not directed by JP. Get this off the screen.
You're like, I wish I even had that hour back to begin with. No, but you know,
That's messed up. Self-deprecating.
I love my movie, okay? No, but like to stand out, you know, you're gonna stand out because first and foremost, there's a fan base already, and my buddy John Schilling is gonna love me saying this. The fan base is built or baked into the crust, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, you got this fan base that's already there.
Yeah.
And they're there to see Myers regardless of how the quality of the production is going to be.
Right.
Even if it's me shooting it on my iPhone with my buddies in my backyard versus...
They're still going to watch it.
You're still going to watch it, even just because you're curious to see
Yeah.
their take on Myers, right? And I think with our knowledge, with our passion about Myers, it's probably going to just by default stand out above the rest just based on that level. You know what I mean? And with our knowledge of the film industry, with who I know, who I can bring on board to make this look good and presentable, it's going to get some attention, I think. You know?
Yeah.
And sure enough, it did.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. 100%. Well, you definitely walked away with a nice award. So.
Yeah.
So obviously we already mentioned that you started the film production. I don't want to say behind your wife's back because that sounds bad. Well, she didn't really know exactly, but when did you decide that this is what you want to do, or how did you decide that this is what you want to do, and what made you just get going on it?
Like, well, I got to go back to like when I was like 7 or 8 when my brother showed me Halloween for the first time, and it just scared the shit out of me.
Oh yeah.
You know, can we curse on here?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I said shithead.
I think you did. Yeah. I just want to make sure if it was okay for me.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to put it as explicit when I upload it. Sorry guys.
But seeing that movie for the first time, it was probably the first horror movie that I saw, and it really just resonated with me. And I talk about this on the Indiegogo pitch video where, you know, it appealed to me through the emotion of fear. And I think that was like the biggest rise that I ever got out of anything visually that I saw.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, that stuck with me.
Yeah.
Fast forward to, well, about a year ago, you know, I sat down with my co-producers, Zach Salazar and Michael Tula. They came to my apartment, and we each had a treatment for the film. And in the film industry, a treatment is basically like a longer outlined, more of a story version of the consolidated format of your film.
Yeah.
Mine was probably like a page long, just talking about like what I wanted to see in the movie and what I envisioned as my take on Myers was going to be. And we went around the room and everybody pitched their idea. And so it turned out that they liked mine, and we went with mine. But I guess I got to backtrack a little bit. When I first saw that Blumhouse was releasing the 2018 Halloween, they did their own Halloween, and seeing that kind of just stirred it up inside me to really get this going. It first started out that I wanted to do like a concept trailer I wanted to shoot for Halloween, and then it turned into like, okay, I want to do like just shoot like maybe like a small little scene, and then it just kind of expanded and just kind of snowballed, and then into this like about 45-page script.
What was the first scene you shot?
The first scene we shot was the Nancy death scene with her boyfriend, Trevor.
Oh, wow.
So did you enjoy that scene?
I did. I was like, I like, it's so crazy because I'm 34 years old and I was yelling at him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, they're probably about the same age too.
Yeah. Like, what are you doing? You're an idiot.
That's going to happen. But yeah, so that was the first scene we shot. We actually shot that in my apartment.
Yeah.
And I was able to kind of cheat it to make it look like it was like a house.
Yeah.
You know, and
how did you cheat it?
Just based on the angles we used, and, you know, fortunately, we have an apartment that actually has a fireplace in it. So
Okay.
if you show a fireplace, usually people think it's like a home.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
people
trying
don't-
to think of the setting because there's a lot of house qualities.
There was a house. There's an island in the
Yeah.
kitchen. We have long shots where there's a little bit of distance behind her where it didn't feel as contained.
Yeah.
We shot from behind them on the couch when they're kissing, and then you
Yeah,
can see the
and
TV mounted above the fireplace.
Because there was like, because I'm trying to think, what he was sitting on was like, this looked like a wall or some, right?
Are you talking about Myers? Trevor.
Yeah.
Victor is the actor, Victor Gelsomino.
Yeah.
He's sitting on my back patio
Okay.
outside my bedroom. my
Okay. Yeah.
apartment.
Because that looked really like, there was no way would I thought that would be an apartment.
Yeah, man. If I got a wider shot, you would just see that there was literally another patio right next to me from my neighbor.
Yeah.
If I just backed up literally like another 5 feet, you'd be able to see clearly into their house.
Because in my mind, Myers was walking up the driveway to go talk to him, right?
Yeah. You think it's the driveway. It's like, where is he? Is it the front patio, back patio?
Yeah.
I kind of left that kind of just.
My mind filled it in.
Your mind fills it in, and you don't. That's the thing. You don't have to show too much. You don't really need to establish too much within the scene. So I was able to cheat essentially the person's perception of what they were really seeing. It was my apartment. We filmed it. If you walked in there in broad daylight, you'd be like, it looks a lot smaller than it really does.
So it seems like this is actually probably a good piece of advice that if you have limited places to shoot, you have to think about the key things that are going to be seen. And realize that those things will be expanded upon within the human mind.
Exactly. And that was the beauty of it, of being able to shoot in my own apartment. It's kind of like having home field advantage, essentially. Right. And then my wife wasn't around when we first started shooting the film.
What house did you film in that was under construction?
That was my buddy's house up in Cyprus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wilbur and Mariella.
Yeah,
the Benitez family.
See, I was thinking that was your house because I was thinking if it was under construction, you were gonna have They were really working on the house. That's awesome.
It was really being worked on. We didn't set it up that way at all.
Yeah.
And I was, that's going back to another lesson I want to say. Use what you have to your advantage and just tailor it to the story. Tailor it to the story. Because I initially envisioned it as being an established, lived-in house, which it actually was at the time, but they were working on it. And I was talking to my buddy Wilbur, who was the homeowner. I said, Wilbur, I'm like, when is this house going to be done? He's like, oh, dude. He's like, we got probably at least another year. I'm like, well, that's when I was saying, okay, well, now we can make this part of the story.
It actually worked out pretty perfectly because then you used the homage to, and I forget the name of the realty office that was an actual movie.
Strode Realty.
Yeah. It works out perfectly because then you have renovations going on to then sell the house and just tied it in super well.
And that's how we tied in that Easter egg. Because I don't know if you know the Halloween franchise, because the real estate agent was Lindsay Wallace.
I actually instantly looked it up because I was like, there's no way they're showing this. Because I was like, oh, okay.
It's just some random Lindsay Wallace. Like, oh, we just came up with that off the top
My first thought was like, man, was she like a big donor? Was my first thought because I don't know the Easter egg.
Yeah, that's funny you mentioned that because we did have some donors that did make it up on screen.
Oh, really? Okay.
That did get killed by Myers in the movie. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome.
So, but yeah, going back to the house, it's like, just tailor what you have at your disposal to the story. I mean, why fight it, right? Like that's how I see it, and just be like malleable to the script.
Right. Yeah.
So,
dude, that's awesome because when you're at limited resources, why try to make something fit that's not going to fit?
Exactly.
Yeah. You already have the core story.
That's
you already
it.
have it. Yeah.
Just to me, I don't think that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Like the aesthetics and it actually adds more to the circumstances, if anything, to the character. Like, oh, we got to work on this house. Like, it could be like the character, like my wife in the movie, she could be like, oh, when is this house going to be done? It could just, it creates other topics of conversation, like with me and the character Dave in the beginning, where he's like, hey, is that Lindsay chick still trying to sell your place?
Oh,
so that's how we kind of tied that into that. And it kind of made for a little bit of, more Easter eggs and more circumstances that can be add layers to the story.
Which I'm sure the fans of Halloween, that community, eat that up.
They love it.
Yeah.
They love it.
I mean, I probably missed all of them. Can you name all the Easter eggs in there? Is that going to be a huge list?
Yeah, there could be a few. So another Easter egg would be like even how we shot the opening scene right before we smash cut to the opening title of the screen, where we're doing that crane lift where it's kind of revealing the scenery of what's going on, and everyone's just kind of frozen still.
Yeah.
That's what they did in the original Halloween, if you remember, when it's revealed that it's a young Michael Myers that killed his sister. Do you remember that? When the parents show up and take the mask off his face?
Yeah.
And Dean Cundy, the original cinematographer of Halloween, he did a crane lift.
Yeah.
And everyone's just kind of frozen in time. And, you know, they call that a tableau shot, where it's just kind of a tableau represents a moment in time. And you see that like in theater, right? Where like if like
everyone stops,
everyone just stops and freezes, right? Like, and you're really just trying to paint a picture and capture that moment. And it's really trying to say, hey, this is small town America, middle class family. This could happen to anyone, and anyone is vulnerable in this moment. And it's like that no one's ever off the hook.
Yeah,
you know. And I really wanted to have that kind of feeling and drive that home in that shot that we did in our film, where it's just the camera's just craning up, revealing the family. The father is just standing there looking at the dead body inside the house. The two kids are standing there with the mom, and I really wanted that moment to just hit home.
Yeah.
And then of course you're paying homage to the style of shooting to the So there was Easter eggs in terms of props,
film production,
in terms of how we shot it. So I tried to take all of that into account too.
That's cool. That's what's up. Another thing I kind of was curious about, I'm going to ask a lot of my curiosities here. Where was the machine shop filmed? Or I'm assuming it was a machine shop. That was my idea.
It was actually, we shot that in, where was that? Sugarland.
Okay.
Sugarland, yeah. My friend Steffi, she went to film school with my wife.
Okay.
And that's how I got that hookup.
Oh, awesome.
So her parents own her dad just passed away, actually. So I send my condolences to Steffi and her family.
Of course.
And so her dad has a company called ProTech Specialties, and they fabricate oil field service parts. So that's what that whole warehouse is. And they have these machines that just make, I don't know if they make like the drill bits per se, but I didn't really get too much into detail. I was just like, okay, this fits the backdrop of what I really need.
Right.
You know, I wanted to be a job that was very blue collar, you know, very with people that could have employees that were rough around the edges and not so politically correct.
Yes.
A la the character Dave, right? What you see from him.
Yeah.
So, and I wanted it to be where it was a job where everyone felt close to each other and, you know, really make it feel like it's a small town.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. The I know the actor that came in to take over your shift. Was that
Joe Grisafi?
Another
Easter egg.
Really?
Yeah, he plays Tommy Doyle, who is the kid that Jamie Lee Curtis was babysitting in the original. That was Tommy Doyle.
Okay, I didn't know that. See,
another Easter egg.
I think he had only a number of lines, but I really enjoyed how he delivered them, by the way. I was a big fan of that.
Joe's a great actor.
Yeah.
Joe's been a pillar here in the Houston film industry for a few decades now.
I thought for sure he was going to be a bigger player all of a sudden.
It's funny, you know, you want to have good actors be carried out through a good portion of the movie, you know, but, our movie was kind of tight and there's only certain spots where you could put people. I would love to have Joe have more of a presence in the movie, but when he's on camera, he delivers.
Oh, yeah,
you
man.
know,
I was like, what is going
yeah, he's good. He's good. Joe is great. You know, I've worked with him in the past. And, you know, and he's a joy to work with. You know, he's a guy who's been around the block. He understands the industry, and he's there to make your production go as smooth as possible. You know, and anyone who works with him knows what I'm talking about. Yeah. You know, so, and plus he's just a good guy. You know, I want to work with good people. Hey. You know, there's just no bullshit with him.
Shame in that.
He's just like, okay, you know, I'm here to work. Yeah. And that's why we love Joe. And I think a lot of people can attest to that.
Yeah.
So.
So that's seems to be a general thing in the industry, working with people you love, because if you're not going and enjoying the people you're around, why are you even doing it, right?
100%.
Yeah. So speaking of people that you enjoy working with, let's get back to your wife.
Oh, God. Oh, man.
Who did not know about this. How did you break it to her that I know you had mentioned off screen that she noticed the Halloween decoration.
Yeah.
But how did that conversation go that you're like, hey, by the way?
Yeah, it was like a hey, by the way kind of moment.
Yeah.
So while she was in Kazakhstan, that's where my wife is from. So she was there visiting for 3 months. She took our son there. So, I had all this opportunity to film. And so that's going back to what I was saying earlier. That's why I used my house as the first place we shot at. Because home field advantage, got all this free time, all this space. I can map out every nook and cranny. So anyways.
So that's why you did that first.
That's why I did that first.
Yeah,
exactly. So I was Skyping with my wife every day, and I was kind of making sure, like, when I was Skyping with her, my angles were just like tight on me. She couldn't see the set dressing. She couldn't see the bat decorations on the wall and all the crazy lights I had in there.
Yeah.
So I made the mistake of, being very comfortable talking to her, and like I just kind of went like this, and I revealed behind me that there was bats on the wall. And she's like, "Wait a minute, why is there bats on the wall?" I'm like,
"Oof.
Oh yeah, about that." Yeah, we're filming a movie, and by the way, you're starring in it too. She's like, "What? What are you talking about?" She's like, "Oh, you're actually doing that? You're doing the movie?" I'm like,
"Nice.
Yeah, we're doing it. We're full force. We're like a month and a half into filming it right now."
So it was a pleasant surprise.
It was a pleasant surprise. It wasn't like, oh my God, take that crap down now or anything like that. I could see some people's wives getting like that. But she's in the industry. She's in industry. That's how we met. We met on her film set in downtown Houston. She was a film student at HCC. Mm-hmm. She was doing her final student project, and she needed an actor. Mm. And somebody tagged me in her post on Facebook, and I looked at her picture, and I'm like, "Who is this gorgeous filmmaker?" I'm like, this is like, she's got to be like a robot or something like that. I'm like, this is fake, right? So I showed
fake news.
Yeah, right. I showed up to her set, and we hit it off. And I was back in.
So she got an actor and a husband.
She got an actor and a husband, and she got a kid out of the deal too.
There you go, nice package deal.
and now we have 2 kids.
Hey,
so,
that's what's up.
Yeah.
So aside from breaking the news to your wife, what would you say were some of the most difficult things that you went through during the production that you learned a lot from and could kind of impart this grand wisdom of how you overcame them?
Yeah, I think it's just understanding the other people that are involved in the production, what they need and expect to, and you have to be fair.
So being empathetic.
Being empathetic. Yeah, pretty much. And understanding and respecting people's schedules. Because if it's, we're not paying anybody to do this, like you have to be at the mercy of their schedule.
Right.
And on the flip side of that, if you're paying them, that's their job. They know to be there at this time, and you can make the schedule, and they can abide by your plans. That wasn't the case with this.
Right.
I had to work out everyone's schedule, and that's why the shoot took from May 24th all the way to October 10th to do an hour film.
Hey, perfect timing though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. It took time.
So what does it take to get what kind of person I guess has got to be someone passionate who's going to work with you without financial incentive? Yeah,
they have to. They just have to be reliable.
Yeah.
And they have to know how to do their craft too.
Right.
Being a student at the Next Level Acting Studios, being there for 3 years and seeing how some people operate and seeing how their acting abilities are, and and then just being an employee in the corporate world, you understand business,
right?
So I'm kind of mixing and matching both worlds
to
figure out what takes the perfect blend.
Got you. So you're very self-aware of the situation that they're donating their time essentially.
Exactly.
And then working that in with what you know about the industry.
Right. Right. And not only that, but like taking care of them too while they're on set. You know, you have to feed them, right?
Kolaches, right?
Did we do kolaches? We did pizza. Lots of pizza.
I don't know why I said kolaches.
Yeah.
I always felt like that's a...
I did kolaches on another film. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
okay.
breakfast.
Got
yeah,
you.
that was breakfast. Yeah, but we were shooting always at night, so it was always pizza.
Got you.
Pizza Hut and Marco's Pizza.
Marco's. Oh, yeah, Marco's Pizza. I've never had Marco's Pizza.
Spent a lot of money on pizza. That's most of the production costs went to pizza.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's crazy. That's kind of crazy to think about. By the way, your budget was...
It was about $10,000.
About $10,000, and I was gonna roll into that anyways. So how did you A, get that raised, and B, how do you make sure you're within it or only slightly above it?
Yeah, well, you know, the first initial funding just came from me to get the ball rolling,
right.
to get the shots that we needed filmed in my apartment first, because you need somewhat of a product to present to potential backers so they can see what they're going to get into. Mm-hmm. That's why we shot the Nancy and Trevor death scenes first at my place. I fronted all the money on that first.
What kind of equipment did you have, by the way?
We just had a mirrorless camera. We shot on the Sony A7S. We had Rode shotgun mics and just regular panel LED lights.
Okay. How much does that setup usually cost?
I mean, a brand new A7S, that camera's a little bit outdated now. I think you can probably get that for like $1,500 right now. The microphone probably $700. The boom pole probably another $200. LED lights probably $700. I would say. So
looking at like $2,500.
Yeah. I'm terrible at math.
That's cool.
That's why I do each one individually.
No worries. So if someone needed to shoot the first initial shots for a project they wanted to try to get funded, what can you do below that with just a few $100s?
Just a few $100s. I mean,
just your phone, probably.
You can just use a phone. Yeah, you can use a phone, and
that's so wild that's possibility now.
It is wild, you know, and everyone has access to it.
Yeah.
You know, and these phones, I mean, they're amazing. I mean, you see movies that are shot entirely on iPhones now, and there's probably, I would guarantee you, there's probably a film festival that was just like a film festival for just movies shot on your phone.
I'm sure.
I'd be willing to bet that.
Yeah, 100%. It's got to be.
Probably, yeah. And I know the movie, was it Tangerine? I think that was shot on an iPhone in its entirety.
Oh, I bet someone did it just, if not just as a challenge, they're just like, well, because iPhone 11.
Yeah.
That's pretty great equipment. That's better equipment than, what, 8, 9, 10? I don't know how long we'd have to go back, but you're definitely get to a point in time where that was better equipment than anything that was available.
And that's exactly it. And if you understand just basic camera settings, you can achieve a lot with your phone.
So it's
even a low quality camera too.
So understanding your equipment and understanding the environment.
Understanding just the basic settings, like, you know, like your ISO, right, and your shutter speeds and stuff like that. If you just know those basic things, you're already one step ahead. And then if you get some lights, make it look decent, you know, and you're not just relying on, you know, the fluorescent lights that are already in your house, you know, you can make something out of it.
And you can make those lights too with hardware, right?
Oh yeah. You can just go to IKEA and like take like a transparent trash can and use that as like a diffuser, or like use a shower curtain and diffuse, like a clear shower curtain, like a frosted one. Yeah, you could use that as a diffuser for a light. Wow, that's wild. It's amazing. You see like the DIY YouTube channels of filmmakers that come up with so many creative things.
I bet.
And I've learned a lot from them too.
Yeah.
So
you had the initial equipment. You put that initial money in to get that done, and then I'm assuming you got that finished out, and then
that's when we launched the Indiegogo.
Yeah. This is the first time I heard about Indiegogo, by the way, so explain that a little bit.
So Indiegogo is just another crowdfunding platform that you can use, and it's free to use, to sign up with. It's just like a Kickstarter, or kind of like a GoFundMe too, I guess. I've never used Kickstarter or GoFundMe, but they have different settings that you can set up your campaign with on Indiegogo, where you can create like a flexible goal, and then they have like a fixed goal. So if you have a $10,000 budget and you have the settings as a fixed goal, if you don't get that $10,000, then you don't get the money. They shut down.
What the hell?
Yeah, so
that's weird.
It is weird. So it doesn't really make much sense to me to do that. But the flexible option is, if you don't meet your goal, you still keep that money, right? So if you made 9,000 and your goal is 10, you still keep that 9,000. And then of course Indiegogo will take their cut of it too, right? Their platform fee, which is I think it's like 20%. So
oof, yeah, that's aggressive. That's why I always thought it was crazy when GoFundMe. Yeah. I think they've changed it, but they'd have like we need help because so-and-so has medical bills, and then it's still like 20%. I'm like, what is going on?
Right.
You know?
You feel bad.
Yeah, you feel really bad.
You feel real bad. And, but that's the good thing too. And we're making movies, right? Like sometimes I feel bad for asking for money. I never thought I was going to be doing a crowdfunding campaign because to me, like to ask people for money is just not like in my nature. It just, it feels kind of awkward, so that's why I was always like a little trepidatious about doing it. Yeah. But my business partner, John, was just like, just do it, man. He said, what do you have to
Yeah. And plus, it sounds like you obviously had some people that were in the film that were bigger sponsors. You can always give value for that. I mean, I think every good GoFundMe I've ever seen for any product, they have at least something, hey, when it happens, you get a t-shirt or something.
That's right? Exactly. You have to have some kind of incentive or perk. They call them perks. Yeah. So, you draft up these different perks and different tiers of, for $5 you can get like a thank you in the credits, or $10 you get a little pin. Yeah. $25 you get a DVD and t-shirts and posters, and we even actually had perks where you can buy a walk-on speaking role in the film, which was really cool. That's cool. And then for even a higher tier, you can get killed by Myers on camera. Nobody actually bought that though, which was interesting. I was like, oh man, wouldn't you want to get killed by Myers? They're like, oh, screw these guys. Like, they're not worth it.
It's weird. It's weird. Well, that is, I mean, it's weird that I would be like, I don't know if I want to get killed on screen. That's why I asked that. I was like, that's got to be weird. If you're not an actor and not used to seeing yourself on screen, the first thing you see.
True. Yeah, exactly. And that's the gamble you got to take, right? Because you don't know who's coming on board.
Right.
So.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then comes when I was talking about earlier where you have to be malleable, right? With like your script and tailoring it to your surroundings. Yeah. You have to tailor it to that new person that's going to come on board if they purchase that perk to walk on. Right.
So now you have to. We
had to create some wiggle room for them, and that's what we did. And we threw a scene in there where I'm talking to my buddy where he's like, where I told him in the scene, hey, we got to cut you loose, no overtime, right? Yeah. That was actually a guy who, Jeffrey Molinaro, an actor, never acted before. He just wanted, his wife and kids were like, no, go do it, Dad, go do it. Like, we want to see you on camera. Yeah. And that's what he told me. I was like, oh man, that's so cool. That's super cool. And he was super nervous. And, I worked with him and I tried to coach him right there on spot before we even started filming, just kind of walk through the scene and just realize that there's really not much to it. Just a camera here and a light and a boom operator. And it's like, it's just a bunch of guys just being nerds making a movie.
Bunch of guys being nerds.
Just a bunch of guys being nerds. That's all this is. And I think once we broke through that, he felt more comfortable. And then I gave him some wiggle room to improv and say some things.
How does he feel now that it's almost over 500,000 views?
Yeah, I haven't reached out to him, but I'm sure he's probably pretty happy.
Pretty pumped about that. Yeah. So aside from what we already talked about, I kind of wanted to have one last question about Halloween night specifically. What was probably the single most difficult moment, and how did you make it work?
Single most difficult moment?
I guess multiple. It could be multiple.
Yeah, it's probably multiple, I'd say, and they all just added up for me to want to jump out of a building.
Yeah. Well,
and that's what we did at the end. Yeah, I would say, man, the most difficult moment was probably just, I guess it goes back to like a lesson learned. If you're going to make a deadline, if you're going to create a timeline of when you want to release the movie, make sure you can meet that deadline. And we really put ourselves in a bind with saying we wanted to release this on a Friday the 13th in March. Just because it's Friday the 13th, right? It's a cool date for marketability. Yeah. And so we did that. It was the next Friday the 13th coming up, and it was only like a month away. But we were just kind of starting our audio post-production process. And so we were scrambling, and we were in the trenches to get this done. And our audio engineer, Dwayne, got a job in, where was he? I think in Abilene. He was doing a Hallmark movie. and he was there for like 10. He was there for like 10 days. So that took like 10 days out of our post-production process that we couldn't get back, and so that means we have to really scramble.
Yeah.
So I was working literally 34 hours straight with him. I was like sleeping on his couch and just making sure that the audio was right. And we probably did 23 revisions of the entire audio through the whole movie, where he mixes the audio, makes sure everything's perfect, and then we'd listen to it. I would notice an anomaly. There was be like a you'd hear like that buzz, like, where the freak did that come from? He's like, dude, like, we didn't hear that before. And it was like trying to like unravel a sweater that someone keeps knitting, you know, because like he'd fix one thing, but then it would mess up something else. It would adjust, like on this timeline, it would just adjust something. We don't know how it did it. It would just happen. Yeah. And this is the things that you can't plan for, and they happen. Wow. So all that stuff added up over time. But, you know, it got to a point where we were just like, F it. It's done. It's done. We're content with it, and we're going to release it. Yeah. And then it got to the point where we were trying to release it on YouTube, and we rendered out this huge file. I think it was like 60 gigs or something like that. It was like an Apple ProRes file, huge. Yeah. And I think it said like time to upload on YouTube. It was like 3 days or something like that. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, and everyone's online, like, you know, I set up like the premiere on YouTube. Yeah. Like, there was a countdown. I'm like, guys, I don't think this is going to happen. So thankfully, our colorist, Wayne Slayton, he's our colorist for the movie, he reached out to me. He's like, dude, what size is your file? Would you render it in? And I just gave him all the technical specs real quick. He's like, do this, render it in this file format. It'll take it down. It's good enough for YouTube. And I'm so thankful he reached out to me, because then I was able to get the movie on YouTube on the 15th instead. I didn't meet the deadline of 13th, but we got it out on that Sunday. It was a Sunday. That's crazy. And so we got it. So that's my lesson learned, and that was probably the hardest thing I was up against, and my stress levels were out the roof.
So what I'm hearing is sound is one of the hardest things.
Sound is. Sound is, and you know about it. You guys know about it here.
Gonzalo knows about it.
Yeah, you know.
I knew about it from the beginning when I was just doing just enough, and now Gonzalo's taking on the Herculean task of doing it to the next level.
Oh, it's a task.
Yeah. We had one episode that because we're recording it in mono, right? It's like it will only be one side, so we got to push it to both. Mm-hmm. And there was Gonzalo has no idea what we did differently, and it just happened to be spitting it out on just the left side.
At least you got one of them, right?
Yeah, but we were able to fix it. You did like the whole thing over, huh? It's wild. So yeah, crazy stuff.
And that was another thing with audio too. Like you have to do like the 5.1 surround sound, because we were going to do a theater premiere. That's another thing, because the pandemic just started right around that time, and we were going to do a premiere at the River Oaks Theater the night before we released it on YouTube to have an in-person show, have everybody come out, the backers. It would have just been a nice night.
Have you done like a director's cut before?
No. Just what's on YouTube is what I want. Okay. So,
okay. Well, sorry, I said the wrong term. Not director's cut. What's it when you watch the whole movie and you comment on every part?
Oh, like a commentary.
A director's commentary.
We have that, and I'm actually waiting on my producer Zach to go ahead and schedule another session, because we had audio issues on that as well, because we were doing it over Zoom, right? And because it was during the pandemic, and so
I have an idea. An idea.
What you got?
What if you watch it live on the 31st of October comment on it the whole time?
That's a great idea. And that's what I was thinking about doing like watch-alongs. Yeah. Like leading every week, like do like a watch-along and like give out perks to people that are watching it. If like someone notices something, create like little raffles or something like that, and give out T-shirts and stuff like that.
That'd be cool.
Because my YouTube channel has been getting some popularity after launching this movie.
And your YouTube channel is, I forgot the name of the production.
It's Thunderknock Studios.
Thunderknock. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
So that's clearly going to be multiple movies I see in the future.
I hope so.
Yeah. And what's coming for the next project?
The next project, we are in pre-production right now. I mean, pre-production, where we're like literally brainstorming ideas at the moment. So,
is it still going to be horror or no?
I think we're going to lean towards like a psychological thriller with horror aspects to it. Yeah.
Nice. I feel a lot of dark shots Darkly lit shots.
Another nighttime movie.
Nice, beautiful, beautiful. Hey, that works out for people's schedules, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like, I can only do nighttime.
Nighttime, man.
Can you give us any hints as to what it's going to be about? I know you said you really haven't come with an idea, but what are some ideas you have possible, or do you not want to talk about them? A little snippet, a little taste, sip of tea.
Let's just say it's going to get a lot hotter. let me just put that out there.
Oh, boy. Okay.
It's going to get a lot hotter.
It's going to get a lot hotter. That can mean so many things.
Yep. That can mean hotter than what our actor Michael Myers, or actor John Schilling was dressed up as Michael Myers. He was sweating under those coveralls and that mask.
Oh, boy. So there's going to be a lot more sweat.
He's going to be sweating his balls off in this movie.
Oh, boy. Okay. Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm already thinking of some things, but guess we'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right. Well, obviously, this is the amazing time where you can plug every possible way that someone can watch Halloween Night.
YouTube Halloween Night. Go on YouTube and search Halloween Night, or you can just Google Halloween Night, Thunder Knock Studios, and you can find it that way.
We'll put the link below in the YouTube.
Down like right here somewhere.
Well, I don't think we could do a click on the. Can we? No, we
no,
can't.
no.
We're gonna have to put
in the
it
description
down
of the
in the
video.
description of the video.
Yeah.
In the description of the video.
Okay.
So I know Facebook, right? You got Facebook.
We have all the social media: Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
Got you.
Yeah, and then of course the YouTube channel, right?
Got you. And eventually, when will they potentially see the next project, and where can they donate?
Well, we don't have anything set up yet as far as donating, but we do have the current ongoing Halloween Night crowdfunding campaign.
Okay, so you could just donate.
Yeah, we still have that because we met our goal, so we're considered in demand.
Got you.
It's ongoing. So people can still buy the perks. You can buy the shirts. You can buy the DVDs. So did somebody give you a DVD today by chance?
Oh yeah, it's really weird. It's really weird. I just got one.
Oh really?
It just showed up.
Oh, that's so cool.
And it's crazy because I don't know who did this.
Oh wow, those look awesome.
I know. Yeah. So if you really want a signed copy from JP, I'm sure he'll have to give it. Thanks again, man.
Yeah.
So excited. So yeah, go watch it. I will post it on the Texas Tea website as well. I know because it's a page, it gets no looks, but I will share it one more time for those that are listening. Of course, thanks for listening to Texas Tea. I'm your host, Roger D. And if you have any questions for JP, you can put them down in the comments below and YouTube. Also, you can go to our group, Space City Success, post up in there and ask him some questions. Other than that, follow us on Facebook, share, like, listen, tell your friends, smoke signals. However you can get us out there, we will appreciate it so much. And until next time, keep it real, keep the tea hot, and keep sipping that knowledge.